Hey everybody, just a quick message before the podcast actually gets started. If you went to event 1 of Empire, Profound Decisions Empire this year, and you borrowed costume from their costume department, could you please bring that to E2 and return it? A lot of the costume stuff just wasn't brought back at the end of the event. They do understand it was muddy, people didn't want to trek back to God to bring it in, but if you could just make sure you bring that back, obviously all of that costume stuff is very, very expensive for Profound Decisions. They don't want to lose it. So if you borrowed a cloak or some warm boots or new, tunics if yours got wet, etc., please make sure you bring that back. Just a little message from the Profound Decisions team before we get started on this podcast.
It's probably beard dust.
Beard dust.
Yeah, do you get like dry skin from your beard? It's so annoying. I hate it. It's gross. I get it all the time. Anyway, go on.
Anyway, welcome to the Tabletop Weekly Podcast. That's literally what I'm going to keep in. It's going to keep your dry beard dust in.
It's disgusting.
Welcome to the Tabletop Weekly Podcast with me, your host, Mark Humes. A bit of a slightly different one. This is a special episode. There'll be 4 of these this year. Because I'm going to transfer the LARP videos, which we did last year. We did like a recap LARP video, but that's now going to be merged in with the new podcast. So this will be available as an audio format, and then also, if you're watching it on YouTube, you're watching it on YouTube.
It's a double dip.
Double dip. So you can check that out. So if you are unfamiliar, the 2 people joining me are my good friends, Alex Smith and Chris Trott. Both of Hat Films and members of the Ashen Hall family, who I've dragged to LARP and now are obsessed with it as much as I am. And this kind of video, if you're not familiar before, we're basically kind of talking about our highlights from Empire LARP, which is run by Profound Decisions. It's a big festival LARP in the UK. It's about 2,000 people that go, or over 2,000 people now, I think. So it's really, really big, really, really epic. We have a lot of fun, and there's a lot of wacky, weird stories that come out of it. If you'd like to check out more information about the LARP itself, you can go to the link in the description below. There are also some codes there to get 15 quid off your first ticket if you were thinking of coming along, and it's really, really fun.
Don't use mine anymore.
No, I'm not going to include yours anymore. I'm going to put mine and Smith's in there,
I'm good for 4 years. Thanks.
Thanks to everybody who's used our code so far.
Yes, absolutely.
Very much appreciate it. You get some money off, so you may as well.
Yeah, that's it. You guys get money off, and it's a good laugh, and it's really fun. And so what we normally do is we normally just go over... We used to do it day by day, but then the videos turned into like an hour and a half long, so I think we'll probably just stick to like our main sort of like highlights and moments from the weekend. The first thing is probably that we should mention is that it was very muddy.
Oh.
Anybody who has never gone to one of these, or if it was your first time at Empire LARP, this event is, because in England it rains a lot obviously, and it pissed it down all day Friday, which just turned into mud.
We were so unlucky because the weekend before was extremely sunny, and this weekend after is going to be really
We got sandwiched in the
nice.
middle with 5 degrees Celsius weather.
Yellow
winds,
storm warning.
Yellow storm warning.
Yellow storm warning, yeah.
Like we got battered by the weather, and it was hard going.
And it wouldn't have been as bad because we went down on the Thursday this time, because we thought we'll go down on Thursday, we'll have time to set up, I can do a bit of filming before it starts raining. Pud, who works super hard, he's been on the podcast, he works super hard for Ashen Hall and our LARP. He brings all of the tent stuff down in a big van that he hires out, and it looks like we've lost the central pole for our tent.
For our marquee.
For our big, like, massive, like, marquee tent, so we couldn't put that up, so we had nowhere to, like, basically hide from the rain.
Poor Pud had to go home the next day.
He drove 6 hours round trip, like, he was through an hour and a half or, like, 2 hours there, and then he had to go to B&Q and buy... We had to build a pole. We had to build a brand new pole.
Good thing
Lashed
we
it
have
all together.
engineers in Ashen Hall, because I don't know how that thing works.
It wouldn't have stayed up. If
it had been the 3 of us, it would have just collapsed in.
Just duct tape it upwards.
Just take turns holding it.
Just holding it.
Your turn. I've been here for 3 hours.
So bad.
But yeah, so just take everything we say with an element of it was muddy as hell and going anywhere was hard work.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it was still brilliant.
It was still really, really good.
And still, I would do it again.
And a big shout out to the Empire crew that works. It's mainly volunteers. It's not like a company that run it. It's like there's a small number of people that are employees, mainly volunteers. These guys were like on Sunday pushing cars out of the mud.
Car pushers
like,
extraordinaire. Hell of a workout.
Yeah, God. Oh, and like
Just
putting all the
getting
tents up and like...
Hundreds and hundreds of vehicles had to be pushed out of quagmires, essentially. But no, that was all good. Let's talk about...
Let's talk about the fun. I just wanted to preface it with that because, like,
yeah.
obviously, anybody who's thinking of coming, don't think it's always sunshine
Yeah.
weather. Like,
bring good tents.
Yes, please bring good tents.
Like, you know, the most important thing is your comfort. So just make sure you bring the appropriate equipment.
Don't
Good
get
boots.
trench foot. Don't get hypothermia.
Some guy got trench foot there. Yeah, hypothermia.
Please be
People's
sensible.
Tents collapse because they bought 30 quid tents from Asda. Don't do that.
And if you're thinking, well, hold on, I don't want to go to Empire anymore. Well, E2 is in June, and the weather should be far better.
Hopefully, way better.
Yeah, E2 as in Event 2.
Yeah, Event 2. And there's more to go as well. So this was the winter event. So this is in universe. This takes place during winter, and there's 3 months between each event. So this time around, I felt like we did so much more role-playing, stuff was happening, all of us have got like more plot stuff going on than ever before, right? It really feels like we're kind of really in the meat and bones of the game. Well, certainly I felt that way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm kind of a clinger honor.
That's
of
fine.
Plot, but yes.
Well,
Yeah.
so you like to get involved in the current meta, as they call it. And the current meta of this event was drugs.
Fake
recreational role-playing drugs.
There's a new thing going around. It's called Bite. It came in from
The League.
The League.
Yeah.
And I was offered it very quickly.
It helps having a friend who...
Do you know the couple that offered it to me? Super awesome role players.
No.
They're the Reckoners.
Oh, yes, the Reckoners. I know... Niall and Claire are their real names, but I don't know their. I know one's called Montezuma. I think Claire plays Victor or something like that. I know who you mean.
They stopped us as we were going to the auction, and they were like, "Hello, all right, we got some stuff. You want it?"
That's a very good impression.
Yeah,
They're very got a bit of the...
Got a bit of
And
that stuff.
I was like, yeah, I do know what, in character, I was like, I know what you're talking about. No, this
But he
guy
will.
will though. And they're like, oh, okay.
I was already having my hand in my pouch,
Yeah.
getting the coins out, and you left me to it. I got some Bite.
Yeah.
Bite is this new stuff that makes you super aggressive when you take it.
Like
It's
bath
not-
salts.
Yeah, it's a bath salt, and I thought it was going to be like a euphoric high,
Right.
Because no one really knew what Bite was at the time.
No.
But we
Do
took-
you open physically? Do you
Yeah,
open the card?
yeah, you rip it.
So how this works for? I try not to do too much noob stuff this time around because
it's
the
fine.
people watching this
Yeah,
probably,
they probably
have
know.
played. But basically, with these in-game recreational drugs, you get a card, and then you pull the card open.
Once you
and-
you take it physically,
Yeah.
you take the
And
powder
then
or
you look
whatever,
at the
and then you
effects.
look at the effect.
And then it will tell you the role-playing effect. So it's like, you feel like this, you feel like this, essentially. And so you found out you had to act aggressively.
Very aggressive and want to
Yeah.
fight stuff.
Yeah.
I ended up fighting my good friend Mac from Navarre.
Yeah.
He's a very good fighter. I paralyzed him and forgot to run away. He cleaved my arm off, and we were very drunk at the time.
Did
and
you have your staff with you?
I had my staff on me.
Wow. No.
yeah.
Yeah, I was ready for a fight. And then, I got pulled into a tent. Thankfully, someone healed me up. I didn't know who it was because I was very drunk.
And this is a very common Chris Trott thing at Empire as well, of getting way too drunk on
It
Friday
was
night.
great roleplay, though. He had that same wooden box that Paul does, where you open it and it's got 3
Little layers of
tiers.
things,
He
yeah.
was getting all the needles and stuff out, and he put a prosthetic scar on my arm.
Oh, that's
some
pretty cool.
blood.
Who was this? Who?
I
doesn't know.
The person who was putting your arm back
I was
on.
pulled into a tent. And
Right.
I'm a physic. I'll heal you up.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
And you don't know who it was.
Don't know who it was.
New England in the Super Bowl by a score of 41-33 on the 4th of February 2018.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks,
good. Good to
Siri.
know.
Thank you.
But yeah, so you got healed up. One thing this is a kind of a funny conjecture. Have you got anything more on your bike? Because there's one thing I want to embarrass you about on the podcast.
No, go on.
Because you got very drunk on Friday night.
Yes.
Very drunk, didn't you, Chris Trott? And then
Was it Friday or Saturday?
Friday night, I remember.
It's a blur for me.
Because I remember that on Saturday at Empire LARP, you fight your battles, and you have to fight battles as characters and monsters. And I remember coming out, and I was all ready to go, and I'm like, Where's everyone? And you had just said I don't think Grim is gonna make it. He's not feeling very well. And you were a bit hungover, a little bit hanging, weren't you?
Want to get out of bed?
All he had to do was slap on some leather shoulders and carry his stuff. I'm there I'm pretty
Chainmail.
pretty hungover in full chain. And I'm like, I feel like crap.
But you still did it because
Yeah.
you're a hero.
Yeah.
Hero of the mark. That's what you are.
God,
Bron.
that sucks. That was the worst. That was the worst I felt in a while.
How you felt then was that time when I got so drunk that him and that Trott and Mac had to carry me around, and then I went into battle the next day. That's kind of how I felt, where it's just the adrenaline is helping,
Yeah.
but I know this is
The
going to be
lulls
really
in between,
bad.
I was like, I'm going to vomit now. I was like, right, let's do this. Let's kill someone. Okay, now it's a vomit.
I just don't know how you did it. Like, I assume it went better than you thought it would, because I was expecting everyone falling over in the mud.
Well, the thing is the battlefield, nobody really goes on it, so it wasn't muddy, it was wet. Like, there were puddles, but it wasn't muddy at all.
I didn't think this through. I should have gone. I feel so bad for not going. But technically, I didn't go for both.
Yes, so you were
So
fine.
I wasn't the imbalancing guy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, that was good. That's fair play. What about you, Smith? What was some of anything that kind of stood out on the Friday? Like, we can do like a round
I got
table.
my wellies on. I got knee deep in plot.
I got knee deep in plot.
So a lot of the things that happened to me were a result of meeting a particular person called Achilles, whose real name is Chris, who basically is a very wealthy trader who was doing a tour of Wintermark looking for things and selling things, and then I just got chatting to him about trading and stuff, and essentially it turned out that he wanted to buy a bourse seat, which is a seat on...
It's like a merchant council.
It is, yeah. It's an imperial title which you can buy, which will then give you wains of a rare resource. In this case, it was weirwood. And he's like, well, I'm looking to get a weirwood seat, after I'd asked him if he had any weirwood to sell, because I wanted to upgrade my fleet. And he said, but the thing is, you can only hold one imperial title. So what I do, I have a deal with people to become essentially caretakers of the title. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Essentially, he buys, and he did buy me the title. I get a small share of it for doing it, and he gets the rest. Basically,
it's win-win.
Yeah, it's win-win for both of us. I have to obviously make sure that I take good care of the resources generated, but my idea of good care is as soon as I get them, I'm going to find them and go, here you go, your problem now.
No,
I don't want to hold all these wains.
It's weird, it only did one this event.
Yeah. Oh, bad year, bad month. But yeah, essentially I have to be honest and forthright with my stewardship of the bourse.
Well, he has the money to make sure that if you don't, you will not be around for much longer.
It was really great because essentially what having that bourse, even though I only get a few wains of like that's measures or whatever of the resource, it kind of opened the door for me, this event and events going forwards, to trade at the almost starting to get towards the big boy table.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not at the big boy table by any means at all, but it's allowed me to start trading in Weirwood, in Mithril and things like that, which I never would have been able to touch before. So
it would have taken you so long to build up to that point.
Exactly. So that has really elevated the game for me, which is I'm very grateful for and super excited for.
Well, here's the thing, because I saw Chris posting on Facebook after the event, and he actually he commented on a Wintermark post. I think it was to Sue or somebody, and he basically said like, I was genuinely kind of losing a bit of interest in Empire, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going, because I think for him he had just reached the point where like he kind of won. Like he had so much money. Like what else can you really do?
Yeah.
And I think meeting you and meeting a lot of other new players has kind of given him that push of like, actually no, there is some stuff I can do. He's helping you, which will provide him a challenger eventually in the future, which can then
his game is through you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he said he doesn't. There's a lot of conglomerates, and I was listening to the. There's an Empire podcast. If you don't know about it, it's really good. I a little while back, on the advisement of Steve and Arhall, listened to the economy podcasts, which are big bastards, a couple of hours each, but they're very, very interesting. And it goes into elements of monopolies and cartels, essentially, and how some of the biggest players, especially in what was the private bourse auction, they used to just say like, I'm not going to bid on this, you don't bid on this either. And because they're the only ones who can afford it, they can sort of set their own prices. So it's like, right, I'll bid on this lot and I'll win this, and then you can bid on the next one, and we won't bid each other up. And it just turns into monopolies, essentially. And something that Chris said was to me, he's like, well, I kind of like want to create something that isn't just a conglomerate, you know, like, so hopefully... Anyway,
he's the kind of person that goes into an auction and just throws money to inflate and pee people off.
Yeah, that is the fun element.
Those
of it.
people that are like bidding on things, he
Yeah.
just
like working together and stuff, and like it's and I think that this is something which I've seen a lot of people talking about, especially at this event. There's kind of two phrases I've heard a lot more people talking, and that's drive it like you stole it and be the villain in someone's story. And it's the idea that you go in there to disrupt a little bit of gameplay, because by doing so you're actually stimulating the game world as a whole.
Yeah.
And I
You're
think
disrupting
that's
the equilibrium.
yeah,
so to
absolutely.
speak.
And I think that's, you look at any kind of good storytelling, whether it's in an RPG or a novel or a TV show, and you've got to have those moments where things get shaken up. And if everybody's just like, well, the easiest way to win is you do this and I do this,
exactly.
you're never going to have that. You're never
Also,
going to have
like,
that drama.
Yeah, what's the
It
point?
creates a huge divide. Like, for example, Achilles Chris was saying that there is this top tier of wealth where everybody's up there. There's a huge grey area.
Huge gulf.
And then you've got the people at the bottom that get their resources in their pack and they're trying to fob it off for a couple of rings.
Yeah.
To get to that next level, you essentially need an Achilles.
You need a patron,
to loan you,
essentially.
because they're so wealthy already and they've got control of all these resources.
It's buying power. It is literally just clout and buying power.
So it's good that people
Somebody
like Achilles
willing
exist.
to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Lend a hand to people like you.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that there
exactly.
are other players as well. I mean, and that's one thing to point out is I'm sure there are
There's
many
still
other
that
players that
grey
do
area
things.
where
Yeah,
there's people
absolutely.
doing
It's just that this is a guy that you met and he's done he's given me and Trott like some crazy expensive stuff.
Well,
and
he says that if you could manage to make him a paragon of prosperity.
See, he's going to make me an artifact pair of weapons, which are incredibly expensive.
First
but
of all,
I'll
they're
get to name them.
They're incredibly expensive, and they will last forever.
Yeah,
and
I don't need to get them replenished
Yeah.
ever. And you get to name them, so and because there is an item called Bear's Claws, which basically is like two one-handed weapons, and if you hit something at the same time, you can call Shatter for a hero point. Which in the game terms, I think that is so fucking
very
powerful.
good. Yeah.
For one hero point, you can call as long as you hit them both like on. So if you hit a shield with both weapons, I can
Or
go
a
Shatter,
two-handed
or
block.
your staff. I could be like cross block it and be
Yeah.
like Shatter.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
So cool.
But and because they're called Bear's Claws, I was going to call them Claws of the Centennial Hawk. Like literally, like they'll be named after like Sigvald's ship and stuff.
His
How
character's
fucking
ship.
cool would that be? You
Yeah,
know? Like,
very cool.
And it becomes a thing in the game. Like they
Yeah.
are there forever as long as
Yeah.
they don't get stolen by
So
barbarians.
if you die and someone steals them off you,
Or I
They
could
last
will
forever.
them to like the hall or something
Yeah.
like that. Like they could stay within Ashen Hall as like
That's
these
cool.
They
relic
don't
blades.
expire.
put them on the wall.
They're forever.
Yeah,
you know.
it's really cool.
So that was really and I think like there are loads of players like Chris, but he just happened to be a guy that we bumped into. And I think like it's interesting because it wasn't just that. Like you've actually got like some like I mean I don't know if you want to talk too much about this star thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
but, like,
So I've got two further talking points. If I just bash those out whilst they're
Sure.
very much sat in my head.
Yeah.
The first one, yes. So another element of my dealings with Achilles was that a while back he bought this fallen star from some marchers for quite a lot of money, and he wasn't really sure what to do with it, but he bought it because it was sort of a curiosity. One day, this Navarre woman comes along and says, "Hello, I've got some gambling debts. I'm in debt to Prospero," I believe is what she said, which is an autumn eternal of prosperity. I need you to come with the star. He wants the star, so we'll give him the star. And then part of that deal, somehow we'll get my gambling debts forgiven. And we were like, all right. And so this is the first time I've had any dealings with any
So
heralds
it's just
or
a
eternals.
generosity thing of Achilles. Like
Pretty much, yeah. Well, this is what he said. Like, you know,
he was trying to squeeze some extra out of
well,
Prospero.
because Eternals can give boons, and boons can be very, very huge things. Or
Yes.
very, very
good
minor
deed.
things.
Good deed.
And an autumn eternal. Autumn is very much about prosperity and wealth and creation and industry and things like that. So for a man who is obviously very interested in money and economics, an autumn eternal is a very
Exactly.
good thing to kind of have on your side.
Exactly. And so he said, well, you can handle this. And I was like,
You!
all right. And so he gives me this star, which is literally like this quite cool little rock formation star thing. I just had that in my pouch, terrified I was going to lose it because
you are collateral.
Yeah. So I've got this star we're hopefully brokering that deal next event. It was meant to happen this event. She was meant to die if it wasn't sorted this event. So we'll see how that would have gone. I think it's been delayed. But that was crazy and really threw me into the deep end on plot.
Well, like you said, you've never dealt with the heralds and
No,
eternals.
I've
and
never
stuff
really
before.
done any
In
of the magic.
Yeah.
Like I've had rituals done for me, but that was always for a mundane end.
It's the next level because obviously like with Sigvald, like the Eternal game is what I've really kind of gotten into, and it is just like, oh, you do your little magic spells. Now meet these demigod figures, bah, 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 and they come through, and it's kind of mad. It's great when you actually get to meet them as well, like and they come out all in their super cool
Full
costume and
costume.
kit and stuff like that.
So yeah, so I've got a Pauper's Key now that can get me.
You've
in
got
and
a
out
Pauper's
of-
Key as
yeah,
well.
in and out of the Hall of Worlds, so that's all right. And then finally, the other thing, like I don't want to give too much detail on those things because I don't know how it's going to evolve. The last thing, which is the thing that's perhaps surprised me the most, apart from being bought a Bourse seat, which I don't think is going to be easily topped. The thing that surprised me the most is I found some Dornish people I actually got on with. From a character perspective.
Okay.
This is Bronn hates Dawn. Alex Smith.
A couple of events ago when Sigvald, Mark's character, entered a tournament, I felt that they were slightly cheated and was very vocal in crowning them the people's champion and other such things. Dawn obviously are in the pursuit of glory. I feel as a winter marker we're much more interested in the pragmatic side of combat.
Yeah, and there's a big ongoing debate of what is glory and heroism, because Wintermark is very much about being a hero and heroism, and actually how similar or dissimilar is that.
But we're also concerned with the efficacy of tactics.
Yes, it's not just about winning.
No, exactly. It's not just about glory. It's about how getting something done and doing it in the best way, the cleanest possible way as well. But anyway, one night, Ashenhall was, as usual, hosting a billion bloody people, and there was no space around the fire for anyone, so I was looming. No, I did actually have a bench at this point. I started talking to Arthur Cordraco, who had come up with some of the Devro people that you know, and I started talking to him about all things Dornish, and I got on with him very well, and he was a very nice chap, and
you didn't kill him.
So I sort of had a chat with him. He was telling me about how everything worked in yeomanry and everything, and about how the Dornish nobles don't like money, and because he was talking about how they're very poor, and I was like, that sucks. And
I can help you with that.
Yeah, maybe I can help you with that. But anyway, I saw him again the following day whilst I was in the Navarre camp investigating something with the magistrates, which is another stupid fucking thing that happened. One of their hallmates and a senator for the Dawn was assassinated in the Navarre camp. So we were there in the Navarre camp watching them sing all their songs, sort of secretly trying to find out who the hell had poisoned and stabbed their friend. And we were like, so what's going on here? And they're like, yeah, what? And I'm like, so sorry, somebody's just been stabbed.
Do you know anything about it?
But that was really interesting, and I never thought I'd be so concerned with the fate of a Dornish senator.
Was it Lady Jocelyn, or was it? I can't remember if it was somebody else that actually died. Because I know the House Devro a lot, and Cordraco and House Devro are quite aligned. I think, and they have some allies, and I remember them talking a bit about it.
It was somebody they knew, because in the fight on the Sunday, the senatorial fight, it was her protege, wasn't it, who wanted to become senator? One of the singers.
Eliana, yeah. Lady Eliana.
Anyway, but it was really cool and really interesting, and I enjoyed. There was a bit of RP I had with one of the magistrates who told me it was the first event.
Nice.
Really good, awesome, good job. Really enjoyed that. That was really interesting. It was really professional, very, very policeman-like.
I mean, speaking about murders and stuff, like there was so much violent crime this event. Like it really felt like. I mean, I bumped into like a murder, like on Friday night, like I got involved in a hunt for a murderer. There was the Krampus, who is a kind of like weird egregore herald thing, got killed in Wintermark.
Well, the vessel was killed, isn't it? The spirit then reanimates.
Yeah, like there was just so much murder going on this event, and I don't know if it was because there was a lot of new players who just think like, oh, I can fucking kill someone.
I'm in two minds.
It's probably the bite.
Or that as well. That was the other thing.
Well, the thing
Lots of people on bite.
I didn't kill the Krampus, just saying.
You're always in danger of murder hoboing, aren't you? Like that's the biggest
new players,
fear.
I think.
Murder hoboing, if you're not familiar with it as a new player, is kind of a term from D&D where you just kill everybody and rove around the world just killing and taking what you want.
Because you don't take it very seriously and you're not invested in it and stuff.
You're not invested in your character and you're not invested in the consequences because you feel like, well, no, they're going to stab him.
And I assume it usually happens if you turn up as a group of people, you get kind of drunk and you're like, meh.
But the thing is, a good system, and I think it does work. I think the Empire system works in a good way against this sort of, not against. First of all, there's always been a problem with people playing too safe, like we were saying about and so some of these stabbings and killings have created a much more exciting atmosphere, a much more.
I think so.
You got to be on edge.
Yeah, and as long as the magistrates and their investigators and militia and all those people are able to effectively do their job and hopefully find the people who did it, or if they're good enough at covering their tracks, not find them. There'll be consequences, and that's perfect, because then that person goes, oh shit, my character got executed.
And I think that's the thing is that LARP isn't a video game. Like LARP is meant to be a simulation of a fancy world, and these worlds are going to be dangerous. And I appreciate that there are a lot of people out there who, they don't like combat. They might have anxiety or they might feel unsafe, and that's fine. But for those people, it's like the solution is just stick with your friends. It's, you're not likely to be targeted unless, and Matt Pease even said this himself, like almost every killing that happens in character is due to a good motive. It's normally because somebody wants to take out a political rival or they've been offended in some way. There's normally a reason. I don't think that there has actually been many cases of just some random idiot going like, I think I'm going to kill someone. I don't think that happens at all.
Also, there are rules.
There are rules, like there's the
If you
combat
want
rules
to
and everything.
be safe, you close your tent.
Yeah.
You can't enter that tent.
You are
If
not
people
allowed to enter it and
inside,
stuff. Yeah. You have to get a
Things like
ref. And also, again, there's that thing of like, even if you're not a combat character, take a friend who is. And that threat is enough. Like, I mean, if I was quite honestly thinking of going out and jobbing somebody, if I was an assassin or something like that, all it takes is one decently armed or armored person.
Like,
because as well, like, you can scream. There's nothing in Empire which stops you ever speaking. So if somebody comes up and even if they paralyze you, you can be like, help, I've been paralyzed, like yell, yell, yell. And all it takes is a couple of people to come out and they'll heal you up and they'll get you up super quickly.
There's physics.
It's difficult to do. I think like if you're gonna do crime, you have to do it cleverly and people just need to make sure they read the rules. That's
or quickly.
You need to, on character 1, spend your first XP on Venom.
This is the Chris Trott
school of character creation.
Buy Venom and kill people.
Big long stick, second pair of clothing nearby.
Reversible.
Clothing.
Even better.
And a front hood. Can't see where you're going. You don't need to. Just run in a straight line.
Just completely blind. Awesome. Well, the only one thing which I remember that you did, and again, it's kind of just like a little thing. There was a thing. Was it on Saturday night when you did your throne guard?
Oh yeah.
This was really fun. So
because
you came by Wintermark, and I don't know, you can probably give a bit of a thing, but from my experience, it was you came into Wintermark with the captain of the Empress's guard and a mysteriously cloaked woman, and you were like, oh yeah, you guys are new to Anvil, and you got Wyvern's Watch, you're a bunch of really lovely group of players. There's 30 of them now, and this was like a hall formed like 2 events ago. Yeah. They've exploded with new people. And you're like, oh, you guys are new to Anvil, aren't you? Yeah. Come and meet my friend. She wants to hear what you think of the Empire. Yeah. And then because you're a bit drunk, you're like, this is Lizabetta, and she like slaps you on the arm, and it's like, no, Bron, it's blah, 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 some made up
I should have called her Lizzie.
Yeah. And you were like, oh, but they didn't pick up on it. They were just like, you know what we don't like? The way skirmishes are organised. And they started ranting about like the most pointless, like minor things, which was really funny.
And I stumbled in at the end.
Well, because you stumbled in because there was a bit of a drug den going on in Ashenhall at the time.
There might have been.
This was when they combined Bite with Goose Whisper?
I wasn't part of that.
Oh, you weren't part of that?
But I was combining narcotics in the Navarre camp. And we stumbled back in, and as the Empress was leaving, and someone said, "Oh, that's the Empress," and I waved at another girl stood next to the Empress, like, "Hey, Empress!"
That was so good though, like the whole thing, because Roz, who plays the Empress, who plays Little Bear, I thought it was so funny. Like she was like being like really cheerful, like, "Oh, hello, I'm new," blah blah blah. Yeah, it was like so really well done. And Maz, who plays the Captain of the Guard, she loved Pud singing. By the way, like she caught some of Pud singing.
I missed it. I'm so annoyed.
Oh man, like Maz, Captain of the Guard, was just like, "This is the best song I've ever heard."
She's very upbeat.
He did his new one, and then he did Rise Up.
Yeah.
She loved Rise Up. That was the one.
Yeah. No, it was great fun. Thanks to if either of them watched this.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. That was really fun. We had a good laugh. We went into the art. Oh, well, one little anecdote that came out from that. Yeah. We went to the Artisan's Arms. Yeah. And Lizabetta managed to stay like low key, and so she had a hood up. She was talking to this guy for ages. He was a new player, and he must have been in his teens still. And he had all of this like crazy face makeup on. It looked quite cool. And he was like, "Oh, I'm Smiley," and he had like this sort of weird, almost jester-like face paint on. Right. He was really drunk. He's like, "Do you guys want a drink?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't, mate. I'm there in like full armor, all my weapons and everything." I'm like, "I'm pretty obvious what's going on here." And she's like talking to him, like, "Oh yeah, really nice time." Talk for ages. And he's like, "You sure you guys don't want a drink?" He's like, "I can't really, mate. Sorry." And he's like, I was like, "Should we go?" And like, she's like, "Yeah." No. So we went off somewhere else, probably to Ashenhall. And she goes, "I don't think he had any clue, did he?" And I was like, "Nah, it's all right. Tell him tomorrow." And so to the next day on the battlefield, after we'd literally almost all died, I was like, "Oh, all right, mate." I like pulled him up from somewhere, and I'm like, "All right, mate, how you doing? I saw you last night, didn't he?" He's like, "Oh yeah. How's it going? Do you want to come for a drink tonight instead?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you know who you were chatting to last night?" He's like, No, so it's the Empress. He's like, oh, was it really? and then
what a silly
day! and anyway, I just saw him. We just all wandered off and fought somebody else. It was a funny little. Like,
that's funny. I love the new players' reactions to stuff when it's just like, oh, what a lovely day! Like, oh, so shocking.
But yeah, no, that was good. That was really fun.
Yeah,
that was the best throwing guide I've done, definitely.
Yeah.
The worst being military council. Just like, oh god, I'm interested in military matters, and that shit is dull. Anyway, go for it.
Military council, please don't comment on this video. What about you, Trott? What stood out?
So
for
I
Grim?
brought a lot of pre-prep to this event.
You did.
Because I thought I'd create game for other people. Well, not game, just things to talk about really. And I got myself a little Grim journal called the Grimoire, which I think you came up with.
Yeah, Grimoire. Yeah.
The Grimoire.
And I did really scratchy writing.
Really good. You should show
Grim's
people
really
that.
dumb.
You just scan
It's
some
caked
pages.
in
Yeah, if you can get some pictures of it, I'll put them up in the video.
It's called Grimm's and says, if you touch, you die on the front. And I basically did a whole, like, these are the virtues.
My favourite virtue is...
And it starts off really fucking scratchy, and throughout my diary of what happened in the 3 months downtime is what I got up to, and my handwriting gets slightly better. And I came up with the idea, because I've got a farm as a resource. I've got a potato farm. My potatoes had a harvest ritual cast on them in E4.
Big ritual.
And they got really big in this 3 month downtime. Really big, like 20 feet tall.
What?
And yeah, they're really big.
That's huge.
I know. It's amazing. It's
absurd.
It's magic.
Same size as a house. The size of a house.
But the caveat to that is all the bugs, infestation also got equally large. So they started eating the potatoes, and I was like, what do I do? I'm Grim. I'm not that dumb, but
you default.
But it was
to
a
that
problem
job.
you didn't perhaps see coming.
Yeah.
And so Mac comes along, my Navari friend, and we have drinks and stuff. And Bron is there in my story, and we're up in a tree at night, and there's a big fucking shadow on the tree. It's like, oh, we're stuck in the tree. There's a horrible monster out to kill us. You come along. It's like, it's a cow. It's an oversized cow, and it's dumb. Anyway, I get really drunk, and I burn the whole farm down, so I'm like, I've had enough.
Of these crazy giant bugs and things.
Yeah, and that's all in the diary. The last page is actually burnt, to emphasize. And I bring this journal to the event so that people can flick through and like read the story and be like, Grim's so dumb. That's funny. What have you been up to? And I actually brought a big potato.
You did.
To the event.
Yeah, big old potato.
And then what happened to that potato on Saturday?
So, big shout out to River, who is now a new crew member. Also River in character as well as out of character, that's useful. She did a huge favour because she's a fan of high rollers. She hallowed my potato.
So Trott actually bought a potato to the event.
Massive
we were in the supermarket getting our food for the weekend, and he's just like, "Oh, got a potato." I'm like, "Ah, sweet."
Not in character, yeah, I didn't say it like that, but yeah.
You probably did say it a bit like that, to be fair. It's like, look at this potato.
I was quite excited.
It was quite a big one.
It was a bit.
Yeah.
And to explain what hallowing is a religious skill that priests of the way, and it's like in the religion of the game, like the way is like the main religion, it's a big thing. And hallowing is blessing an object with a holy aura that actually has a physical power, like it has a physical effect.
Like when you touch it, it has a role-playing effect.
So I was just hanging out with God because Achilles took you there because you were doing something.
Some.
Well, part of the thing
with
we
you.
were doing was we were getting your potato hallowed.
Oh, I did.
It was like a secret.
So
It
what
was a
happened was
secret.
we were inside, we were talking inside Ashenhall, and they were like, "What is that potato?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is Grimm's potato." And she's like,
I carved my name in it at this point.
Yeah, it said
yeah.
Grimm's on it. And I was like, I think River did suggest it. She's like, we should like hallow it. I'm like, can we do that? She's like, yeah, I reckon we can hallow it. I'm like, she's like, is he going to be mad? Is he going to want to kill me? I'm like, no, I find it hilarious. Probably. So we snuck it out of the tent under a cloak, and then
she had it the whole time.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And so she comes out of the tent with a ribbon. It says Grimm's potato on it.
Yeah,
It's
literally.
got written
on the
Grimm's
So
potato.
usually
potato.
these ribbons have like fantastical items or like
like
military
the
hardware.
staff of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And
This just says Grimm's potato.
And the effect is basically when you hold it, you feel carefree and the need to celebrate.
Yeah.
you celebrate your hard work.
Yeah.
Work.
So
it's
an
a party
aura-
potato.
It's the party potato.
It's
We've
an
called
aura
it.
of prosperity. You call it the party.
Yeah, we've called it Grimm's party potato.
That's brilliant. That's so good. Yeah. yeah.
So I'm thinking of what to do with it. Maybe I'm going to get a LARP safe version and hang it up like a disco ball in National.
Well, we've also had the idea, if we found out there's an autumn ritual where you can send things to autumn Eternals, and then they send you back what they think it's worth. And we had this idea of like, what if we sent them Grimm's party potato?
Yeah.
We were racking our brains over this. It's like,
we also thought,
eat the potato, will you get the effects? But apparently you don't.
Because if you break it into parts, the hallowing goes away, and it isn't until it comes back as a whole that it hallowing remains. But then we had the idea of going to the hospital and saying, can you cut Grimm open, cut his stomach open, put the potato in whole, and then sew his stomach back up?
That's so grim.
Then it would be whole.
That's rough as
exactly.
well.
Just imagine me turning up to the hospital and be like, could you put this in my stomach? Whole. Put it in.
There's a good chance your stomach and that potato are very similar sizes as well.
I just want to become hallowed.
Yeah.
Imagine if he was permanently imbued, like with a prosperity aura.
So when you touch him, you want to
celebrate. And he's just constantly like, party!
Come on! Get going!
I want to see what's going to happen.
Oh my god.
That's the biggest thing.
Well, that and the drug taking, like all of the
Mixing
fake
narcotics.
drugs. Not real drugs, not real drugs.
wasn't
Monetization, please.
It's PD sanctioned drugs.
Yeah.
Some of them have been.
They're role playing.
They're role playing.
They're
They're
physical
role-playing
representations. There's no imbibing of any illegal substances of any sort in real life.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
In fact, the one from E4 that me and Mac had was the best one, where we thought we had invisible hats on, which was amazing.
You were euphoric.
Was literally a little sachet of coloured sugar. So you rip it open.
Oh, you can eat it. Oh, that's
eat
cool.
it.
That's a good
It's
idea.
like, whoa! That was the best narcotic we had, because the role-playing effect was you feel euphoric for hours.
And you were like, this is amazing.
Unfortunately, we didn't have much of that, but we
Also, it
mixed.
was really expensive.
Very expensive. But
Right, so Mark.
Yeah,
hit us
man.
with a download.
Hit you with the download. So mine was, man. So I mentioned in the previous video that there was a lot of plot stuff that Sigvald got involved with in this quest that I went on. And there was a lot of stuff that happened at player events where the Archmage of Summer, a guy called Solomon who runs the Shattered Tower, me and him had a tense conversation of him trying to get answers out of me and me not knowing if I could trust him. So there was a bit of a sort of like a, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like very sort of like skirting around the questions. But because of what I've done with Sigvald is I'm sick and tired of wearing the wig. So it was a great wig made by Katrine, who's done Ninja Girl, who's done awesome costumes for High Rollers, but it got really itchy and uncomfortable to wear. So I came up with a story that whilst off doing some investigations and research, Sigvald's antlers got ripped off, basically. So he had one ripped off by a drake, and then the other one was shattered and had to be filed down. I got some cool makeup to do scars on my face. Hopefully we'll have some photos.
Colloquial.
Yeah, I used rigid collodion, which basically creates like a scar effect.
Sucks in your skin and makes a ridge.
And it looks pretty good. I thought it looked really good. So I had this whole thing, and as part of that, I wanted to build on this role play because I kind of wanted to, again, this idea of like kind of messing with people's game a bit. And so I kind of made Sigvald a bit bitter and a bit sort of like the Stormcrows told me not to tell anybody and to handle this myself. They're the ones that should have handled it. Kind of like he was kind of blaming the Stormcrows for not taking on this mission, which involves cults and all sorts of religious stuff. And so he kind of was like, fuck it, they told me not to speak to High God. No, I'm going to go speak to them. They know more about this than I do. So I had like a cool conversation with Solomon and Brother Luke, my friend Scarlett, where we kind of laid everything out, and it's kind of revealed that there was more information going on and there might be some investigations going on. But as part of that, I got invited onto a bunch of other quests. So I got to do another Crystal Maze room, which was really good. So we went to another kind of event, what they call the little event tents, which is like these big garage tents. And this one, there was like painted glyphs on the floor, and it was like done up like a temple with an altar. And we were told where it was, but none of us had done any research on where it was. So we get there and it's like, I don't know anything about this. Like, apparently what we should have done is like, they have like a certain religion, and if we'd followed these kind of religious practices, we could have passed the glyphs unimpeded. But we didn't know these things because none of us bothered to look it up. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, well, fuck it. We need to get past this first glyph, step over it. Ref comes up to me and he's like, right, read this. You are affected by this curse. I'm like, cool. So I got cursed.
Curse comes from.
So I got hit by the lowest level curse. We knew we cast detect magic in the room, and we knew that there were 3 curses: a magnitude 10 night one, a magnitude 40 winter one, and a magnitude 60 spring one.
Oh my god!
I got hit by the mag 10 night one, which is called unfettered anarchy, and it basically means you can't control your emotions and you don't like people telling you what to do. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty funny because this is kind of Sigvald anyway. So we start like looking around what to do, and on this altar there's kind of like a cloth with like this kind of sprinkly powder, like this kind of magical looking powder, and the idol that we want is underneath it, and then there was like a little metal bowl with resources in it that looked like it was like an offering thing. Mm-hmm. And we spent ages debating what to do. One of the others stepped inside one of these other glyphs, triggering the winter curse on him. And it was like pretty bad. So I'm like, oh, dodged a bullet there. So the winter curse is basically, he's constantly pursued by nightmares. He cannot restore mana, hero points, or like he literally can't restore anything.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it's like just like really awful.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it's like, and every time he tries to sleep, he is constantly pursued by nightmares of being followed and attacked. And whenever he's just awake, he has this constant like paranoia. So it's pretty bad.
Man.
So that triggered. And we literally have like a full-blown argument in this temple because I'm also like, I'm under this effect of this curse. And I'm like, right, what we need to do is we need to like, I'm going to use this rope, lasso it around the idol, and then we'll pull the idol away. None of us have to touch the altar. And they're like, no, Sigvald, you can't do that. And I'm like, I can do whatever the hell I want. You can't tell me what to do. Nice. Like getting angry and stuff.
And he's like,
so it's like this real thing going on.
It's a bunch of guys going mental.
And like the thing,
I'll stand on a cliff.
one of the priest ladies that we took from the Shattered Tower is like literally like, Sigvald, stop it right now. And I'm like, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my real mum, and stuff like that. But eventually we managed to like use knives to kind of lift this kind of thing off, and we get the idol and we escape, and it's fine. Though I did have this minute of everybody left except me, and there was this bowl with like these metals in it, and I'm like, oh, I could just. No, I don't want another curse. And I just left. I was like, oh, I could just see what I can take.
Did you know what the big curse was? They had like
it was a Spring 61. I've not looked it up, but it would have been pretty
Or
bad.
die.
It would have been. It probably would have been something like resource crippled, or like it could have been the one which literally like curses you that you're infertile and like all your wounds like take ages to heal and stuff. Like it would have been really bad. But that was like one of the. So I did that on the Saturday afternoon, which was really fun. But the other main
one of those.
No, the next one I go on, I'm going to try. Next time I'm going to go on, I'm going to try and bring one of you guys with me because it's really fun. It's like a little crystal maze game. It's really, really good. And the guy, yeah, exactly. And the guy that writes them, Christopher Allen, who is one of the plot writers, is really, really good. He's a really funny guy, and he is a massive.
How many of those does he?
So I think he writes a few of them per thing, but it depends on what plots are going on.
That's a lot.
Stuff.
It is a lot of work just for like small groups of people.
Well, here's the other thing. So, and I can't talk about it too much because it's like I want it to be like a cool reveal for the next event. But with Solomon, after I did this one, he's brought me onto another event, which is kind of semi-taking place during downtime. So Sigvald has basically got on a boat, and we've sailed to a foreign country, and we're doing a heist. And I don't want to talk about too much about what we're doing, but at the next event, I have to go to time in at 4 o'clock at the next event because we are going in before everybody else is live because they want to run this encounter. So we arrive at Anvil.
I remember you told me about it.
Yeah, so we arrive at Anvil with this thing going on.
Does the heist involve, Brass Coast?
It doesn't.
Not the Grendel Brass Coast situation.
No, you'll find out what it is. You'll find out next time. But it's really cool. It's one of those things where I'm like, this is actually. But I'm told that there's a high chance of death, so that'll be good. But the other thing that I did was I spent a lot of time up in Dawn as well, because I made friends with a really lovely group up there called House Devereaux. Big shout out to Georgia, Samantha, and Alessandra because they're the three that I met, and I've gotten to know the rest of them as well. And House Devereaux is a Dornish house, and I met them at the Pledge Ball, and I'd met Georgina because she was betrothed to Max, who was one guy that I fought with alongside in the tournament, and he's dead now, so there's all this kind of Dawn drama going on, and so I'd written icy letters to them.
And very emotional.
Very drama-centric. And I went up there on Friday night just to see them because they'd invited me along. I thought, I'll pop along to House Devereaux. Turned up. One of their number had been murdered. Wow. I arrived literally as they're talking to the militia, and all I heard was like, Lady Devereaux's been murdered. And so I bust in and I'm like, what's going on? Who's dead? And luckily, C. Aurelia and Guinevere, who are the two that I knew, and they come over and there's like lots of like hugs and sort of like, oh no, what's happened? And so I then proceeded to basically, because they didn't have any of their guards, I was just like, well, fuck, I'm not leaving you guys on your own. So I had all my gear on me, so I basically bodyguarded them while they walked around trying to find out information. And just got chatting, and then on the Saturday, I took Guinevere, who's become basically, Guinevere is really interested in adventure like Sigvald is, so Sigvald is just like, new friend! And so I took her to a summer banquet with Heralds and Eternals. So there was an Herald of Eleonaris, and of Rhiannos, Admiral Karkanos, the Crab Man, who it's Chris Allen, the guy that writes the Crystal Maze things. He plays Admiral Karkanos, and he deliberately said he was going to wear his giant crab claws so that he couldn't eat. So me and Sam, who plays Guinevere, had to physically feed him, like literally like cutting up
banquet.
his food and be like, there you go, Mr. Crabman, nom nom nom. And like literally offer him things. He's very posh and he's like, oh yes, hello Sigvald, good to be, he was very like an old admiral. Hello.
Snip, snip.
It was so funny, like we're literally like cutting up cake and feeding it to him, and they had like performers and stuff, and it was all put on by the Shattered Down. Really fucking good. They cooked a 3-course meal in a tent at LARP, and it was genuinely really fucking nice. We had like an amazing cake. I don't know.
Why couldn't we go to that?
Yeah, well,
was there a reason I couldn't go to that?
Because you're not special. You're not special summer boy.
I'll fucking pay for a whole feast next year.
Well, you can. That's fine.
That's essentially what we got. We had a little tea party with Achilles.
Yeah, you did.
I don't want to interject.
Oh yeah.
No, please do.
But Achilles was very like flaunting his power.
Decadent.
While we were waiting for the Hall of Worlds thing and the Prospero thing to happen, waiting for a herald to respond to us, he was like, come to the Urison tent, and he was like, you there, we want a whole tray of sweets and food, bring it to our table now, and send 2 coffees to the Hall of Worlds. He's just got that power money.
That's so awesome. Like, he's literally was just like,
and me as Grim, I had no reason to be there. I was being an
You
intimidation.
were our protection in the Hall of Worlds.
In the Hall of Worlds, in case things kicked off. Nothing kicked off.
but you were
saw
there.
a herald, but I got so many truffles. It was great.
It was so good. I love that stuff. Like the fact that people can put on like a banquet or like run a bar.
Yeah.
It's just the best thing.
What
at Empire.
food did you have in your course?
So they had it started off with like some various breads and olives and like pickled onions and chilies and things like that, with a pate, I think. And then there was a chicken, a very lovely like freshly cooked chicken dish with vegetables, potatoes, roast potatoes.
Someone's got an oven up there.
There was harissa.
Somebody will find them.
There was the harissa that went with it, like a lovely harissa, and then a oregano sauce. It was fucking lovely. It was so good. And then the cake, they did like a kind of like almost like a ginger nut cake. With like a chocolate sauce and fresh cream. I was just like, this is amazing. Champagne.
My God.
I was there with my Kirin in my tankard. I'm like, this is amazing. And they had like loads of different guests, like various like champions of the different Summer Eternals and people going on. I had a lovely chat with a Herald of Eleonaris, who was very excited at me being a Wintermarker, because then after the banquet, I took him to Wintermark, and he had 36 potions to give to Heroes of the Mark. So I gave some to Ashenhall. Tarek and Gliss got
Do you know
some.
what kind of potions they were?
It was the one that restores a hero point, the basic one that restores a hero point.
Filter of strength.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, filter of strength.
Yeah.
And so he had 36 of those, so we gave some to Ashenhall, and then I went and found Ailson and Dunhurth, and he gave half to the Wardens and half to the Heart of the Mark to distribute for the next battle.
Awesome.
So, and that was basically because Eleonaris was super impressed by Wintermark. She was like, we love Wintermark, you got one of our heralds back. Here's a small gift from my lady.
Oh, was that when they came along with your...
You remember that you had... I think you did the skirmish where you had to rescue a herald. Like there was like a skirmish, a Wintermark skirmish to rescue a herald. And a bunch of Wintermarkers went on it, basically. So we did that. And then, again, me spending a lot of time with Dawn, I went up on Sunday to help them with their senatorial battle. During the senatorial battle, it was all very good. House Devereux won. I was like, oh yeah, one of them's become new senator. That's really awesome. And then one of their yeomen died from a traumatic wound that they hadn't told anybody about. So they literally were like, and she did it really well. Like she would like cough a bit. I was like, you all right? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. I took a blow in the battle earlier. I was like, oh, I just didn't think of anything of it. And then she came over again later, and she had literally got like fake blood pouring out of her ears and nose. I was like, are you sure you're all right? And she's like, I don't feel very. And then like I was like, fuck, we got her in the tent, and then she died. So like all of like the House Devereux ladies.
Why was she hiding it?
Because, and I imagine she didn't say, but it was this kind of thing of, because she's a yeoman, and so many of House Devereux had so much tragedy at the event. She was like, I didn't want to trouble anyone. It's that kind of thing, and
that's
then obviously
great
cause more. It's really, really good. And then obviously
should have got checked though.
Should have got checked. Like
if you doubt it, get checked.
Get checked.
Always get checked.
But like, so I was there when this all happened, and like, you know,
and you got mixed up in some stuff.
It was like she pulled like Sam Guinevere like was like, can you come in like with me? Like, you know, I don't want to be on my own. Like Aurelia was in there as well, and there's a really cool guy called his character name is Huel, and he's a Navari priest. He loves Tarek, by the way. He fucking loves Tarek. And he was in there, and he did this amazing kind of like all the lights were down low, and he did this ceremony like a funeral thing, and just like his words were like so, like he was a really good role player. And it was like really atmospheric.
I met this guy.
So I met him at the Pledge Ball, but he did definitely come around Ashenhall. He's very, very tall, Navari priest with like face paint and stuff like on. Yeah. It's kind of difficult to say, but yeah, his name's Huel. He's really awesome. He's really, really cool dude. Okay. And he did this amazing thing there, which was super awesome. And yeah, it was this kind of like really kind of like sad moment where like I just didn't know what to say, so I just stood there and like they're kind of like, you know,
Were you cursed
mourning.
at this point?
I was, so it was like, I was like, you know, it was one of those, the problem was it was on Sunday and Mark was very tired from the mud and weather, so maybe I wasn't role-playing the curse as well as I could have been, but I was very fucking tired.
Low energy curse.
Yeah, it was low energy cursing going on, but I was definitely sad.
Oh man, I was emotional on the way fucking home. Grumpiest bastard in the
man,
world.
although it was like, what, 8 o'clock we finally left the site?
Left at 8,
so
stopped
late.
at 3, left at 8, then we were covered in mud.
Oh.
And the Land Rover too.
My Land Rover was covered in mud, so we drove to a nearby McDonald's.
Classic post-LARP McDonald's.
And then they didn't give me the dips for my chicken select.
Oh
So
yeah, they got your fries wrong. You wanted for a
fries
large. They gave you a
wrong.
medium.
Yeah, but I will say that there's a nice chap in the McDonald's there who gave us some free coffees.
He did. He's a fan. That was very sweet of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then
We pressure washed.
things started to get better. So we went to a pressure washer and blasted all the mud off our feet and the car, and it was very cathartic.
Anyway, put the shoes on my
I felt like I've shot.
The last thing I was going to mention that I did as well is, so Tarek, our friend Andrew, he's been on the podcast and stuff before, really great singer, great performer. He did another performance at the League Theatre, which I went to, and it was genuinely amazing. Like people have kind of like said, like League plays. This was really funny. There was like 2 plays that they did, which were genuinely very funny. One had some dude playing like a mother, and it was like a real like, oh hello, I'm the mother, and he was really funny improv, like coming up with really witty kind of like lines. Amazing singers. House Devereaux sang, but then there was a Dornish poet who was really like, his lyrical writing skill was really, really good. Another couple of singers which was really good, and then Tarek did, and I kind of like stole a bit of spotlight for myself, because I did a Knight's Tale style intro for him. So we did this before, because Pud is not very, he's very sort of like, hey, I'm Tarek, I'm going to sing some songs. And I was like, no, you're a fucking superstar, you need a big intro. So I got up and did this big thing of like, Tarek, and like did like a whole thing, which was very funny, and apparently people seemed to like. So it was that moment when everybody got that it was a Knight's Tale reference, where everyone just went, oh, it was like pretty good.
I think I saw you do it at
amazing.
Ashton.
Yeah, so it was the same
really
thing basically. But the League Theatre tent is so well done up, like all the lighting and stuff is amazing.
I need to get around more.
Yeah.
I wander streets drunk.
To be honest, this wasn't the event to do it because the mud was so bad. Like when the weather's nice, it's so much easier to walk everywhere. But yeah, it just felt like, I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. There were some amazing things that happened. I felt the battle this time was just like average. It wasn't a bad battle, but it wasn't anything special. It was just like hold an objective. It seemed like we massively outnumbered them.
After E4, it was kind of like, how are you going to top 3 war rhinos? But But no, it was totally fine because like I think like you say, everyone was knackered because of just walking everywhere was such hard work.
Yeah.
It was fine, but yeah, by far and away, the plot, I think, for all of us was the
main thing.
The big thing.
Ploddy.
Huh?
The mud was ploddy.
Yeah, it really was.
We got given a beautiful book.
Yes, this was the last thing I wanted to talk about. So I've got photos. Paul's going to take some really high quality photos for me. Big thank you to Brian Chandler, I think is his name, but Umbra Armories is the company. They made us, and they made us some potion holders as well, but this incredible tome. It's like bound by a piece of wood, like full leather.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful illustration on the front
insignia
cover.
on the front.
And it's all like brass bindings and stuff. It is so
It looks
amazing.
like a movie prop.
It really does. So huge thank you, Brian and Umbra Armories, for that. If you want to commission something, he does do commissions. I think a Dornish house saw my post on Facebook, and they're like, "We need one of these." Like,
yeah, it's really cool.
We need to get one of those.
Beautiful. It's very orcish too.
Yes, but it
was
looks
a gift
amazing
from the orcs to us.
Yes, so we kind of sold it in character that Sigvald met this orc, Bloodcrow Urgot, whilst on his adventures, and he said, "I've heard of Ashen Hall. Here's something to record your tales." And what we're going to do is Paul Duffield, who amazing comic artist and illustrator, he's going to look after the book, and member of our hall. He's going to look after the book, and he's going to start writing in it and do like really lovely so he's going to do like the stories of everybody.
So
we're going to record the name of everybody who died at the back, so we're going to have like everyone who's
good.
Will you
fallen.
put the history of Ashen Hall in there?
I think so. I think we're going to have the first pages are going to be the Constitution and the Oath. So whenever a new member joins, we have to swear an oath. So instead of reading it off the thing, we'll be able to read it out of the fucking amazing book.
It's going to be great.
So it's going to be really good. And
We need to swear in on you. Person.
Yes, well, so we had a new guy joining, your friend Alec, lovely fellow, really helpful with OOC stuff as well. Great role player. He came to me to Senate Dance Club. I did not think he would do it, but he was like, yeah, I'm up for anything, and he just came along. Our feet were killing us, so we left very quickly because it was a very complicated dance. But man, I was so impressed at how up for everything he was, and that's the best way to be at Empire. Is just throw yourself into anything and everything because you never know what you might enjoy. So. But man, I thought it was a really good event. I'm sure we've missed some stuff.
Yeah, we have. But
Absolutely.
it's just a taste. It's just to get people hyped.
Yeah.
If they haven't checked out, or if indeed you're just reveling in the event. In
Yeah,
general,
and you want to
know?
like, I'm still waiting for photos, man. Like, that's
Yeah.
my thing. I'm like eager to see photos. But the other thing I was going to say is the next event, if the weather's better, what I'd like to do is do some more filming, so you'll be able to see some behind the scenes stuff. Obviously, I didn't want to do it because
We were going to do it at this event, but it was just like, this isn't happening.
No,
It
Like,
was a domino effect of bad things
Yeah.
happening.
It was like
that
the
we
tent
fixed.
problems, because like what I wanted to do was on Thursday get the tent up, so on Friday I could like film and show this
Yeah.
is Ashen Hall, like this is our cool map, and
We
all
would
of
have
that
got it
things.
up. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, it
it's a shame.
sucks, but
It's a shame.
we'll fix that. But yeah, so for next time there should be some more behind the scenes videos and stuff that I want to do, and I've had loads of people from different nations that want to come and talk to about different nations, because we talk a lot about Wintermark, but actually the other nations in Empire are just as cool. Like there are some really awesome choices.
Honestly, if you want to get Grim involved, if you're in a different nation and you've got a good reason to hire a Wintermarker battle mage, please. I want to get into the league stuff. That sounds great. Dawn, sure, I'll do that.
Anybody.
I'll
You
fight
need to spend more time with the marches. Grim
And,
would fit in so well
yes.
with the marches.
Mate, I've got Hello Potato marches.
Oh, yeah, you could
Come
go.
and see the party potato.
That'd be a great way to do it. Go over to the market and
Spread
say,
the tail.
Would you like to see a hello potato?
Hello.
Yeah.
Would you like to hold the hallowed potato?
Also, I will say, Ashen Hall has got a more hardcore Huskar now. I've been speaking to Roshar, Lisa, and I'm stepping up my
You
duties.
should be, because you've not been doing them.
I've
for
like
He's
doing
been
it.
doing a bit of fire checking. I've seen
was
But
a
it's
bit-
not fire checking. He's supposed to be training us for combat.
All right, so now now my duty. So if you come along to Ashen Hall next event,
Yeah.
I am role playing. However, the rules are Ashen Hall members get seats first,
Yes, so Grim's going to be our,
and I'm
our
going to be
doorman.
like, are you an Ashen Hall? This man behind you is Bron. If you stand up, take a seat, Bron. Get off out, or I'll venom you.
Yeah.
I will venom you.
Paralyzed.
So you're going to be the doorman, but and you need to be checking because like we don't know who
People slip
people
in.
might be coming after us.
They
You
do
never
slip
know.
in.
My security is going to be stepped up, Ashen
You
Hall. We
better
are
be.
still welcoming, however,
You're
Ashen
gonna-
Hall is first.
You're going to be drunk, man. Like
Come on in,
You're
party
gonna-
potato.
Guys, hang from the ceiling like a disco ball.
maybe we should make sure that maybe we should get Alec and Katla to kind of help out on bouncer duties as well, because I don't trust you to do it by yourself.
I don't trust myself.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it. Is there anything else you guys can think of?
I had a harvest ritual done. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you to Grape and the Grain and
the Grain.
Achilles again for funding more rituals for us
Yeah,
as well.
thank you very much.
And hopefully Sigvald won't be dead in his Mission Impossible that he's currently doing.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
We've got like a little Facebook group for like role playing and figuring stuff out, and it's great because Sigvald is trapped on a boat with 3 Highguarders and a member of the League, and I'm like the brazen talks too much Wintermarker, so I'm like bringing up all this awkward conversation, and they're like, "Oh God!"
And
So
he's
it's
still
quite fun.
cursed.
Still cursed, so that'll be fun. But yeah, so thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Tabletop Weekly Podcast. Obviously, this is a bit of a special one, whether you're listening to on audio or on YouTube or on Patreon. If you're Patreon, you get access to this early. Big thank you to the photographers that I've included in the pictures in the video as well. Check them out; they'll be in the video links below. I don't need to do video links to Hat Films because you know who they are. But yeah, we will see you at E2 if you're coming along, or we'll see you for the next recap.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark, for having us.
Always a pleasure. Goodbye.
Bye.